Hey, what's up everybody? It's Coach Matt over here, Primal Athlete Training Center, www.primalatc.com. Guys, just to remind you, please make sure to sign up for the newsletter. We've got the announcement coming out pretty soon about the coaches clinic that we're going to do here the weekend before Thanksgiving. It's an opportunity for 20 coaches. We're going to limit it at 20 to come into Primal, learn our methods of strength training throughout the season. It's right in time for indoor track, right in time to you guys to kind of create your programs according to your schedule, according to your meets and to your practices, to make sure that your athletes are getting stronger and peaking correctly at the end of the year. So that's going to be coming up. The first place we're going to announce it is to our newsletter. Again, we only have space for 20 coaches, so make sure to sign up for that newsletter. You'll be the first to hear about it. You can get signed up quickly. Now, today what we're talking about has to do with timing. Now, there are two spots where I see a lot of discus throwers get a little off with their timing. Usually has to deal with the relationship between the upper body and the lower body. And the two spots where I see it the most are beginner athletes when they're learning how to do a standing throw or a power position throw, and more advanced athletes or more intermediate athletes when they're learning how to come out of the back of the circle. And again, the timing between the upper body and the lower body is off a little bit. Now, let me show you a little bit what I'm talking about here. With regards to the beginner throwers, the beginner athletes, we know from watching previous videos and from going through the patterns of the throws that we need to work from the ground up. The feet have to turn, the legs have to extend, the hip has to extend, and then finally the upper body will throw the discus. So we go from the ground up. Basically, your feet, legs, hips, core, pull, the blocking arm, push, that throwing arm. So that's the pattern. Now, one of the issues that we see a lot with beginner athletes is that they don't time it correctly, where they start to turn their foot before their upper body begins to come around. And this happens a lot in the standing throw, where an athlete will come all the way back in the standing throw, and then before they turn their feet, they'll start to open up their upper body. And then when they get to right about here, they'll start to turn the lower body. So in essence, what you're doing is you're unwinding your upper body about 90 degrees. You're coming from about, that 3 o'clock position to 12 o'clock. And then from here is where you start to turn and move your lower body. So what you're essentially doing is you're losing a lot of that torque. You're losing a lot of that built up tension. And that's what we need to keep in order to have longer throws, to hit more PRs. You need to increase that torque. You need to increase that amount of pressure and power, so you don't want to unwind. Well, how do we do this? You have to work on that timing. You almost have to anticipate that as you're just about to reach as far back as you can, that's when you start to turn the feet, and that's when you start to pull through. So to do both in sort of a medium pace, the wrong way is to turn back all the way, open, and then turn the lower body. The right way is to turn back all the way, and just as you're about 99% of the way there, that's where you start to turn the feet. All the way around, feet, boom, then the upper body. Okay, so we want to anticipate our hand in that discus coming all the way back as far as possible behind the hip, and as it's reaching its final destination, as it gets back as far as possible, that's when you start to turn those feet, extend the legs, throw the hip, and the discus comes from way behind and goes forward. Once that timing is there, it's usually going to stay there for quite a while. You're going to build that good habit. The other spot where we start to see it is in the back of the circle. And typically what we see, it looks like this. The athlete will be in the back of the circle, legs bent, ready to throw. They'll bring the discus all the way back. And then as it's back here, it will start to unwind. And then they'll turn their feet and go. So what they're doing is essentially the same thing. They're letting their body unwind. They're letting their body untwist, and they're losing that tension. They're losing that separation between the upper body and the lower body, and rather than turning as they reach all the way back, and then turning the feet and allowing the discus to stay behind them as they turn out of the back of the circle. What they're doing is letting themselves relax and then turning out of the circle. And you can see what that does. You lose that torque. So, how do you fix this? In the back of the circle, same as in that standing throw, you need to anticipate the discus going all the way back. And as it's 99% of the way there, as it's reaching almost there, you're going to accelerate the lower body in front of the discus. So as the discus is all the way back, that's where you start to move the lower body first, pivot, and turn out of the back of that circle with the discus behind your hip. Okay? So there's two ways right there that you can improve your timing. Beginner athletes, work on improving that timing with the upper and lower body in the standing throw and the power position. Advanced athletes, let's work on improving our timing when we wind up, when we pull that discus all the way back when we're in the back of the circle. So hopefully this helps you guys out. I know a lot of the athletes I work with, this is one of their issues, is that timing. We have an athlete right now that I'm working with online who's having an issue with timing in the back where he's letting his upper body relax before he turns out of the back of the circle. And you can see what starts to happen. The discus comes in front of the hip. We want the opposite. We want the hip to be in front of that discus. So just work on that. Turn back. As soon as you're back 99% of the way, start moving the hip in front of the discus, and everything should work out great for you. Guys, Coach Matt, Primal Athlete Training Center. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have a lot of videos on here, close to 400. I think we're over 400 videos on the YouTube channel. We do about 1 or 2 every week. Track season's right around the corner. Please make sure you're out there throwing. Please make sure you're out there working on your technique, getting stronger in the weight room. If you have any questions, make sure to let me know. Leave them in the YouTube comment section or just shoot me an email. And make sure to click the link below, sign up for that newsletter. You'll be the first one to hear about the coaching clinic the weekend before Thanksgiving. Talk to you soon.